Hello, fellow Movie Crusaders, and welcome to another episode of Sean's Movie Crusades. My name's Sean Wasserkrug, and today we're going to be reviewing the theatrical film that ended up going straight to streaming services on Apple TV, Tom Hanks's Greyhound. Now, like I said, this movie was supposed to be released in theaters during the summer, but due to COVID-19, it got moved to streaming services and got bought out by Apple TV. So it is one of the first, I would say, probably one of the biggest films to be released on Apple TV so far, since it was a theatrically released film, or was supposed to be anyway. But the general plot of Greyhound itself is early in World War II, an inexperienced U.S. Navy captain must lead an Allied convoy being stalked by Nazi U-boats or Nazi U-boat wolf packs. Now, basically, what that means is that through World War II, American convoys would be transferring goods, soldiers, stuff like that, through to the English Channel all the way over to England. But when they got to a certain point, they couldn't have basically air protection from planes because the planes couldn't go that far out. So there'd be a span of 3 days where they were basically vulnerable to being attacked by U-boat submarines from the Nazis. And so during that time is always when it was crucial for them because they didn't have air support to back them up. And so that is basically where this main story goes to. It's this one trip, the first time of Tom Hanks's Captain Krause. First time he's in charge of the ship, the Greyhound, and him trying to make it all the way over to England in that 3 hours or 3 day span without losing as many ships as possible to the U-boats. But yeah, that's basically it. Now, in terms of the film itself, I mean, outside of Elizabeth Shue, which I would say most people who were born later than 1995 probably don't really know Elizabeth Shue that well. For anyone born previously to 1995, you guys will remember her, and you guys will remember that face, but literally she's only in one scene of the movie, sadly, and it's right at the beginning. But other than her, this is mostly a no-name cast and Tom Hanks. I mean, some people might know Stephen Graham, who plays Charlie Cole, but for the most part, or better yet, Jimmy, where is he? Is it Jimmy Stanton? Probably not. No, that's not him. The kid from Boy Meets World. I'm blanking on his name and I feel horrible about it. But in the first seasons of Boy Meets World, he was the nerdy kid who always battled Sean and Corey. He's in the movie as a messenger, but he only has like 2 or 3 lines in the movie, really. But other than that, it's just Tom Hanks. So you really don't have anyone else to really build a story off of or build any emotion towards besides the Tom Hanks character. There's no real character building. I mean, maybe Charlie Cole's character, but I mean, it's just the camera stays on Tom Hanks throughout the entire film for the most part. I mean, Rob Morgan plays Cleveland. He's kind of like the cook to Captain Krause. I mean, he's got a few lines here and there, but for the most part, it is Tom Hanks's film. It was written by Tom Hanks, and every scene is involving him, which gives you little time to kind of care about all the other people on the ship with him. Now, in terms of the dialogue, this is basically what the movie is. One person relays a message to this guy. This guy relays the message to Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks responds with a message. This guy relays the message back to this guy over here, and vice versa. So for most of the film, it's basically you're going to hear the same lines repeated twice, over and over and over again. It's a very simple script in that case, because literally you're going to have to repeat everything twice in this movie, and it gets really, really annoying. I get it. You're on a ship. One person's on an intercom. The other person's relaying it to the captain and vice versa. But you got to have more in this film to actually develop suspense, dialogue, character development. All we know about Tom Hanks's characters is this is his first time running this trip, and that he loves Elizabeth Shue's character, and he's religious. That's all we know. But most of the, like 80% of the movie is just one person says something, it's repeated, response, repeated, back, and that's it. Now, take the dialogue out of the film. This is actually pretty close to almost what feels like a live action version of Battleship. And no, I'm not talking about the crappy Battleship movie they made that had nothing to do with the board game. I'm talking about an actual real-life version of the board game of Battleship. It is a game of cat and mouse between the U-boats and the Greyhound and its other convoy ships of trying to search, find, and destroy all these ships, whether it be the Nazi U-boats trying to find the convoy or vice versa. So in terms of suspense and tenseness of the film, it's there. But once again, due to the lack of character development outside of Tom Hanks, when ships go down or people die or stuff like that happens, there's little to no emotional weight going on because you haven't done a good job of developing characters in this film. But the actual scenes of action with the ships is intense, and it is really well done in that sense. So in terms of a naval like warship fighting film, it does a really good job. But in terms of everything else, it's lacking severely. It's not like the acting is bad by anyone in the film, but no one's really giving any time to do anything outside of Tom Hanks. So the movie itself just kind of is numb after about half hour. Like after a half hour, I was just like, okay, are we going to do something more than just repeating the same lines over and over again? And then another half hour passed and it was pretty much the same thing. And then 30 minutes later, the movie's over. So, I mean, in terms of overall recommendation, I mean, if you're a big Tom Hanks fan, you're probably going to check this movie out regardless because it's a Tom Hanks movie. If you like Navy war films, you'll probably like this movie as well. Now, if you're not fans of, well, everyone's a fan of Tom Hanks, but if you're not a fan of these kinds of movies, I'm not going to recommend you waste 90 minutes watching this film because you're just going to kind of be annoyed and bored. Now, if you're wanting some intense warship stuff, then this is going to be the film for you. But in terms of dialogue, character development, anything like that, you're just not going to get that from this film overall. Like I said, I enjoyed the action aspect of it. I liked the game of cat and mouse between them. But more times than not, any character development that we could have gotten was all done through intercom, whether it be from the Nazi U-boats or the other ships. You never see any of those people. They all are just voices off an intercom, which like I said takes away from it. But I liked what I saw from it. It's severely lacking overall to make it a fully complete film. And this is one of those films that I feel like actually got lucky that COVID happened, because if this would have been released in theaters, this would have bombed badly. It would have missed a lot of money and it would have been considered a failure in terms of box office success. But because it is on Apple TV, it has a better chance of actually probably either getting more praise or getting more people to watch it than people going to theaters and bashing this movie for what it is. I think it's actually going to succeed better than it would have had it been released in theaters. So going to my overall thoughts, like I said, if you like these kinds of films, then you guys will like this movie. If you're looking for something more than that, then I strongly suggest don't waste your time watching this movie, even though it is only 90 minutes long. But going to my overall score, like I said, Tom Hanks is always great, and he's really good in this. The problem is no one else is really doing anything of matter, and the action sequences are really solid. So I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10 for my score, because it's just kind of is what it is. But yeah, I was kind of disappointed overall with it. I wanted more, especially from a Tom Hanks film. But I hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you guys did, go ahead and hit that like button. If you guys feel this review is worth sharing, go ahead and hit that share button. But most importantly, don't forget to hit the subscribe button to the channel so you guys stay up to date with all the latest videos that pop up on the channel's Movie Crusades. And of course, don't forget to follow us on all the social media outlets you see below. Coming up next, we have the Netflix action film The Old Guard, based on a comic book starring Charlize Theron. So be on the lookout for that. And until next time, in case I don't see you, good morning, good afternoon, and good night, Movie Crusaders.